Justin Simpson. Can you tell us about it?
Habitat in Victoria has a rent-to-buy scheme. We build homes with a view that the residents can actually, in the end, own those homes. Provided a 10-year interest-free loan to families with a view that they can build equity in their home and refinance at a certain point and own that home.
How does all that come together?
Quite a few people since I started in my role talk about how Habitat for Humanity has been a pioneer in the affordable housing space.
Affordable land. Tell us about the context of that.
Normally that are a little bit outside of...
Operated for over 30 years. The organisation has worked in 16 countries and built or repaired over 6,000 homes. I'm Ian Bunston. Welcome to Monday Matters. Welcome, Justin. Great to have you this morning.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Justin, we're going to get into this by going to Yea, about 83 kilometres from Melbourne, where you've got a project where you're building about 24 homes. Can you tell us about it?
Well, we built the Yea project over a number of years, and we built 24 homes over about a decade. Habitat in Victoria has a rent-to-buy scheme where we build homes with a view that the residents can actually, in the end, own those homes. We provided a 10-year interest-free loan to families with a view that they can build equity in their home and refinance at a certain point and own that home. It's a really significant model which helps people shift from experiencing generational disadvantage. I was speaking with the architect who designed our affordable homes. His name's Rob McLaughlin, and he was in Yea with doing one of the handovers of the properties to one of the residents. And he was speaking with one of the senior members of staff at the local school there. And we're talking about the significance of community. And the senior staff member said to Rob, this housing development, this affordable housing development, has made a really significant impact in the Yea community and in particular in our school, because the residents are deeply invested and want the community to thrive as they're investing in their own home and getting established in the community. And the principal was saying that the school has really seen an uplift because of the investment of the families in the local school. So while we're trying to build homes, we're trying to invest in communities, and that has flow-out effects in the life of a wider community. It was wonderful speaking. Only a couple of weeks ago, I was speaking with one of our residents at our Yea development, and they'd been able to refinance their loan a bit ahead of schedule. And the joy and the sense of accomplishment that they had in becoming a homeowner was just so remarkable. And so it's really beautiful to see how that can really shift the trajectory of families.
So, Justin, before we go on to another project down at Crib Point, in terms of these 24 homes, how does it kind of look and sound as you get the building project underway and you've got your volunteers, and how does all that come together?
So projects evolve over time. In Yea, it was more than a decade long, the project, but one of the most significant challenges of affordable housing is affordable land. And so we're consistently looking for opportunities to purchase affordable land. So we've really got to build investment into those projects with a view that they can be built out over time as they're funded. Excuse me a moment.
That's okay. I wished I could pass a glass of water.
I'm just going to have a drink.
Can I just jump in there while you're just composing yourself? Affordable land. Tell us about the context of that.
So we have developed projects, normally that are a little bit outside of Melbourne CBD, where communities are growing, but they're not necessarily where property prices have gone really high. And so we've had developments in the west of Melbourne. We've had property development in Yea, in Crib Point, which is down near the Mornington Peninsula. And so we're looking at different properties which are affordable and yet proximate.
Okay, so let's move to your Crib Point project, and that's 70 k's from Melbourne. Tell us about what the story is there.
Sure. We have a 6-house development currently underway. 3 of the houses already have residents in, and we're working to finish the remaining 3 off at the moment. And it's been beautiful to connect with the residents of our Crib Point development. One of them, for example, has had to move more than 10 times in the life of their family growing up. And you can imagine how difficult and disruptive that would have been for families. And I'm really struck by the resilience and the sense of agency that our residents have. Just seeing the capacity of our residents. I was reflecting with Ian the other day that we're really seeking to build community where we build homes. Our mission statement talks about we bring people together to build homes, community, and hope. And so we're not just seeking to build bricks and mortar, we're seeking to build community connection, community infrastructure. And so we actually ask our residents to do sweat equity. They contribute, they volunteer in the development of their homes. But with changes in occ health and safety and the like, that we've got to do that a little bit differently. And so sometimes we'll invite them to volunteer with one of our op shops. And one of these families, I was at the Christmas party for the op shop down at Rosebud, which helps fund the Crib Point development. And I mentioned the name of one of the family members at Crib Point. Well, you should have seen people's faces light up. Like, they love this family. They are so invested in their success. And that mum had volunteered in the op shop, and she had become a really integral part of the op shop community, and seeing how the Habitat community had really come around this family. As I'm thinking about this sweat equity model, I'm also starting to ponder what does it look like for our beneficiary families, our partner families, to be community developers, and their own investment in their local community and how we support them in that journey.
So, Justin, we all know that there is a housing crisis and we have a huge demand for homes. But how do you go about, or how does Habitat for Humanity go about selecting the tenants for your homes?
People apply to be considered to be a partner family, and it's quite a long journey. And people are progressively shortlisted. And that has to do with their story of disadvantage. We are considering what their journey has been. But as I mentioned earlier, we're trying to help people into home ownership. And so we have an aim that people will be actually able to get a commercial loan at the end of 10 years. So we're looking for people who have been able to manage their finances and develop their finances, that we can walk alongside them and support them in that journey, but that they will have a payment history that at the end of a decade, that a bank would actually see what they've done and say, we want to give you a home loan. So there's a balance between supporting people who have experienced disadvantage and their finances and their ability to repay a loan over a period of time.
Now, Justin, I want to move to your volunteer program, and obviously you have a lot of folk who come volunteer and support and help with the builds. But what, 15,000 people you've had, that you've been able to mobilise. Tell us about your volunteer program and the impact of that, and how you actually encourage people to come on board to assist you.
So we've got multiple ways that people volunteer with us. I mentioned our op shop. So we've got 2 op shops, and we have volunteers. They're volunteer-run stores, and it's beautiful to see how the op shops themselves are communities. And seeing how invested our volunteers are in the impact that we're seeking to create through our op shops. So volunteering in the op shops is one thing. We also have a program called Brush with Kindness. And with Brush with Kindness, we actually provide programs in which we're either refurbishing housing organisations' properties. So, for example, we were recently doing a refurbishment of Ben Warren Women's Refuge, which is up in Yarra Junction, and so painting projects, gardening projects, and the like. And also we have volunteer programs where we're supporting individual households who are experiencing housing stress. They may own their home, but because of life circumstances, sometimes their capacity to stay on top of their house has got a bit overwhelming, and so we'll run activities like a backyard blitz or a painting project to support residents. And then finally, and this is a really significant connection. So Habitat Victoria is part of Habitat Australia, and Habitat is an international development agency, and so we run housing projects. We develop housing projects overseas. We run a program called Global Village, where people volunteer to actually go overseas and build homes as part of a team overseas as well.
So, Justin, to my final question, it's very well publicised, the huge need for housing, and I alluded to this before, and I'm just thinking, some people could say there's only a limited number of homes that you can provide as Habitat for Humanity. Do you ever feel daunted by the task of what is before us in our country? And do you feel as though Habitat for Humanity is having an impact?
Yeah, great question. I was thinking the other day, this feels very big. And I have that sense that this is bigger than Habitat for Humanity. Habitat for Humanity is part of an affordable housing ecosystem. We're not going to solve the affordable housing crisis, which is probably 30 years in the making, in and of ourselves. But I've had quite a few people since I started in my role talk about how Habitat for Humanity has been a pioneer in the affordable housing space. We've created a way of thinking about housing that our support of families into home ownership likewise is a significant model. So we're thinking around how are we part of that ecosystem that shifts the dial? That can be in terms of housing solutions, that we're thinking around how do we innovate around housing projects. The things that we've done for the last 30 years might evolve over time, where we're trying different things in terms of housing developments. But equally, as we collaborate, as we link together with other housing organisations, we find ways that we're actually able to advocate, we're able to collaborate, where we can shift how people think about housing. Housing, I reflected the other day in a conversation that the difference between people who have housing and who don't have housing is becoming a bigger and bigger divide. And for families who can't rely on the bank of mum and dad, that is a very significant social issue that's growing. And so Habitat, even whilst we are building a small number of houses, we're shining light onto an issue that is a fundamental social issue. And so I think that the key there is that we're collaborating, we're coming together with other organisations, and we're seeking to be a light on a hill of this is a different way of thinking about housing and a different way of working with people who experience disadvantage.
Well, Justin Simpson, the CEO of Habitat for Humanity Victoria, it's great to hear your story. You are having an impact, and the sense of community and what you are developing and the hope that you're giving to people through your organisation is really very special indeed. Thank you for being our guest here at Monday Matters today.
My pleasure.